re-election in 3 short years. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm sorry, I had a hard time hearing you.
That's okay. What are your thoughts on running for re-election in 2026?
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026? All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator Benny.
Yep.
Okay.
Somebody else have a question? Please speak up.
What efforts is Daniel Cameron going to have to make on the campaign trail when Kentucky's over in November?
Senator Daniel Cameron, do you have a comment on Daniel Cameron?
Well, I think the government race is going to be very close. Far and away the best candidate we could have nominated. And the state has become increasingly Republican. In fact, the governor is the only Democrat left. So I'm optimistic that Daniel will be our next governor.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Support this great content by hitting the Cash App and by joining the Patreon.
And guys, we have Mitch McConnell silent again. And we have the mainstream media again says that he's freezing up. Like he's a robot. Like he's a computer. You have to watch the terminology. But guys, we know why they're doing this. Politicians are over. We know blockchain is going to be their replacement. And that's the reason why all of a sudden they're talking about term limits. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you.
It's a pretty big win for you.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
What does this mean for Grayscale now? What's the next step?
Well, this is, more than a year-long process. Last June, the SEC denied our application to convert GBTC to an ETF. We immediately filed a lawsuit. Went through briefs, went through oral arguments, and to yesterday receive an opinion from the court that unanimously had 3 judges all rule in our favor, vacating the SEC's denial order is a huge victory for us, for our investors, for really the crypto community and the investment community as a whole.
Yeah, they called this arbitrary and capricious, the SEC's decision to deny this, just based on the idea that the futures market and the spot price were pretty closely linked and it should be allowed to go ahead with that. The SEC says it is still looking into it. It does have the opportunity to appeal this, either to a full slate of judges on the D.C. court or to the U.S. Supreme Court. What happens? What could that mean? Because it could be an expensive fight to continue.
Sure. So today marks day 1 of a 45-day process where the SEC can request a rehearing. We really have to be patient now and follow the federal rules of appellate procedure here during that time period. And ultimately, the court will issue a final mandate that will detail the operational next steps.
Which means what from any investors in Grayscale or beyond? What are you looking at? What should they?
Yeah, in the interim, during this 45-day period, our lawyers are working, constructively, proactively with the SEC to pursue next steps as expeditiously as possible. We have to ensure that no one, especially the SEC, is not losing sight of the fact that there are nearly 1 million American investors who own GBTC today. So the patience that they've had inflicting any further harm on them, holding them back from bringing GBTC further into the regulatory perimeter would be a really missed opportunity and really directly violate the SEC's mandate.
everything goes your way, how quickly could you get the ETF up and running?
Well, it really, again, depends on working proactively with the SEC. Throughout this process, we have had what we would think of as a professional disagreement with the SEC. The very foundation of the Grayscale business is making, crypto accessible through existing rules and regulations here in the U.S. And so we want to maintain that posture with the SEC, not only through this decision, but on a go-forward basis. GBTC is just the first of many products that Grayscale has that all intend to eventually convert into ETFs and have a whole family of digital asset ETFs here in the U.S.
What's the relationship like? You could describe it as a professional disagreement, but everybody's spent a lot of time on both sides of this, and that can lead to some contentious relationships.
Well,
what would the SEC like to see? What can you show them, perhaps, to maybe sway them in your favor?
Well, I think we really have to point back to the court order yesterday. The court order, simply put, said, we agree with you. We agree with you, Grayscale, right? We have demonstrated, multiple times that there's an inextricable tie between the Bitcoin futures and the Bitcoin spot market, and the fact that the SEC has greenlighted multiple Bitcoin futures products but not spot products really does underscore that arbitrary and capricious decision-making that they had denying GBTC's conversion.
And guys, we have the Grayscale CEO speaking about winning against the SEC, but he made sure he didn't answer the question when to expect a spot Bitcoin ETF. Remember, last month he stated to expect a Bitcoin ETF if they won against the SEC, expected in the fall. But now he doesn't want to answer the question. And guys, you already know how I feel about this. I think the SEC is just going to kick the can down the road. But at the end of the day, guys, we know for a fact we are the future. But we know they want the emerging markets to rise first. And guys, we have the Fed freezing the real estate market, printing all that money, and then all of a sudden raising over 500 basis points is putting a squeeze on the real estate market. But starting next year, guys, we're going to start seeing the real estate market crumble. We're going to see even more layoffs. But we know the NWO caused the problem. Wait for the reaction and run in with the solution. Remember what they say, you will own nothing, but you will be happy. All they're waiting for is that perfect distraction in order to bring in the robots, algorithms, and drones while the sheep go inside the metaverse. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows. When it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
I think we're just in the first inning of this correction, Robert. I hate to say it, but I mean, basically, you got to understand that at the end of the pandemic, which wasn't that long ago, there was an extra $2.1 trillion in people's savings accounts. That's extra $2.1 trillion. In March, it was $500 billion. Now it's $190 billion. As that disappears and completely evaporates from people's bank accounts, all that money, there's going to be a lot less money to spend. So what's that going to mean for demand for everything, retail, office, apartments, every aspect of real estate is going to get whacked. And I think we're just in the first inning. As far as the trophy properties go, of course, they're not getting heavily discounted. They probably never will. Look, I understand it's Warren Buffett's birthday. Happy birthday, Warren. But I can quote Warren. And one of the greatest things he ever said that I heard was, always better to buy a great company or great property at a fair price than a fair property at a great price. So those great properties and those great trophy properties, they probably haven't come down a lot, and they probably won't come down a lot. And if somebody's goal is to accumulate and acquire, world-class assets, they need to buy them sometimes when they just come down a little bit. But I think when it comes to the B and the C properties, the worst is yet to come.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we can have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate. Not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Drama Team save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Drama Team save New York. From COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Drama Team goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.